Today we're going to be talking about the Teach Them Diligently Homeschool Convention. We have attended this conference twice so far, both in Nashville, Tennessee, and both years that we've attended, it's been hosted at the Gaylord Opryland Hotel. And we have actually stayed at the Opryland Hotel both times and found it very convenient that they actually offer it at a location where there's an on-site hotel, so that if we want to take breaks during the day, we can go back to our room. We don't have to drive in, find a place to park. So we really enjoy that aspect of it. I'm gonna have the kids tell what they enjoy about going to the homeschool convention. Silas has gone several years with us to not only this convention, but another convention that we attend in Ohio as well. But was this Cullen and Micah's first?
Second.
No, it was their second time, but their first time at this, at the Teach Them Diligently convention. So Micah, what do you like about going with us to homeschool convention?
They hand out free stuff when you go up to these different stands, like pens and candy, erasers, badges, hand sanitizer, a bunch of different things.
Yep, so that's in the vendor hall as you walk through, and you get to look kind of hands-on with the curriculum, and you get to look and see if it's something that you think would be a good fit for you as the teacher and for your children as the student. You can flip through the teacher's manuals, the student workbooks, check out any manipulatives that they might have, so you can see what the quality of the manipulatives are. And you also, a lot of the times, you actually get to speak to the people who wrote the curriculum, who made the curriculum, and if not speak to that person, you at least get to speak to other moms that actually use the curriculum and get to ask a lot of questions. It's a whole lot better than just trying to look on the internet and read reviews about different curriculum. I find it to be so much more helpful to get to ask questions in person and to get to actually see the curriculum. So in that vendor hall, Micah likes walking around because every single vendor, for the most part, has a bunch of free swag that they're handing out with their name on it or their website on it. And so some places will hand out bags as well. So the kids will just find that first vendor that has a bag and go around and just start collecting all the things that they like. And a lot of vendors actually have more than one thing to choose from.
That is really great.
I actually am always on a hunt for collecting pens. I feel like I get the best writing pens when we're at a homeschool convention, and my group of pens will last me for a year, and then at the next convention I start stocking up again. Cullen, what was it that you liked about convention this year?
I liked there's a really nice lady there. She was selling like kindergarten felt pieces dipped in glue, hardened, stuck together, and made little people that would have, like, there was a mom, she takes care of the kids, goes grocery shopping, like she provides for the kids, like to teach them about life. Like detectives, like are problem solving, she has like doctors, and they're really nice people. I like talking to them.
Did you end up buying one?
Yeah, I bought a mom, and she holds a little grocery bag, and I do not know where she is at the moment, or I would have brought her here to show you, but they're really cute.
All right. So I think Cullen likes looking through the vendor hall and finding things that he wants.
Me.
Yeah, things that he enjoys and things that he's hopeful that Rob and I will let him buy.
It was $5 for one.
All right, Silas, what do you like about going to homeschool convention?
I like reading, and the nice thing about getting books at homeschool convention is that you get to meet the author sometimes, and you can get their autograph in the book, and then they tell you about the book, what it's going to be like, and they just give you enough information to choose whether or not you want to get it or not. That's just really helpful for me.
And I think one thing you got to do is you also got to talk with the author about how they were writing the book and how they wanted the story to go. You can kind of get their perspective on that too, can't you?
Yeah, so at Homeschool Convention, there's different speakers that you can sit in and listen to their workshops on all different kinds of topics. Some are geared towards early learning, so even like preschool age, and then all the way up to high school. There's workshops about how to prepare for college, or how to prepare a child for college, how to find scholarships, how to help them with the SAT. And obviously we have not sat in on any of those workshops because our kids are not to that stage yet. But one year I went and sat in on as many workshops as I could about how to teach your children how to read, because Silas was kindergarten that year and Cullen was pre-K, and I knew that that's something we were getting ready to get into, and I wanted to find the best curriculum that would fit our family. There's also usually like parenting workshops as well, subject-specific workshops, like I mentioned how we were looking at reading, or you could sit in on history workshops. This year we sat in on a couple workshops about technology in your home and how to kind of safeguard your children in certain situations with regard to technology. And I found those to be beneficial to sit in on. We also sat in on one about teaching your kids about money, and I think Silas really enjoyed that workshop too. And she gave practical, like real life examples of things that she's done with her children, about how if they show up somewhere and they don't have their wallet with them, she would charge them like an ATM withdrawal fee in order for her to give them some money to be able to buy, to borrow the money or get in advance to be able to buy what they wanted to buy. But so like Silas mentioned, some of the speakers will actually be authors that have written fiction books geared towards
Nonfiction.
to kids. No, fiction books that are geared towards kids. So there's been a couple times where we've sat in on a workshop just listening to the author, not knowing, what their books are about. And then Silas will leave the workshop saying, "Can we please go down to the vendor hall because I want to check out their books?" And so he does enjoy getting to get his books autographed. And if there's a lot of times it'll depend on what the line looks like at the booth when you get down there. Sometimes they'll have a really long line, so the author can really just autograph and move on, and you can't really talk to them. But you can always come back another time, try and find when the booth's not busy, and they're always more than happy to answer questions. There's one author who had several different series of books that he'd written, and Silas spent some time talking to him, trying to figure out which series he should start with, or which series would be good for his age and his interests. So we've always found that to be a really unique thing about Homeschool Convention too. What do you want to say?
They also have other series. They have stands that have old owned books. They don't have just pre-made big worldwide series. They do have the Magic Tree House, Wizard of Oz, Nancy Drew. There was this big one, and it had almost the whole series of the Wizard of Oz.
Yeah, so there are some vendors that have a lot of used books as well. So they will come in and set up their booth with used books, so you can find some really great deals. A lot of the vendors offer special promotions that are only good during homeschool convention. So let's say there's something that you want to buy and they've run out of stock there. They'll usually offer free shipping so that you can go ahead. And a lot of them actually don't even bring their products for you to take home that day. They just bring like the sample products for you to be able to look through.
I bought one book. Can I go get the book?
To be able to look through the curriculum, and then you can place your order and then they'll ship it to you for free, which is nice because you don't want to be walking around the vendor hall with, four kids worth of curriculum. So for the most part, we usually have most of ours shipped. But they'll usually be running other promotions where maybe if you spend a certain amount, you get a percentage off or you get a flat like $20 off or something like that. I know like with the books Silas got, it was usually if you bought the whole series, like if there's 4 books in the series, you would get a discount. Any other kind of discounts you guys remember seeing?
I didn't look at discounts.
If
I
you
looked
buy
at
the
the
whole
products.
series, and maybe you could get a free series out.
Well, sometimes you would also get, like Helen said, the bags. A lot of them will throw in like a nice canvas kind of bag if you spend a certain amount. So sometimes there will be kind of like another swag item that you might get for free with a certain minimum purchase. And so, Dad, do you see a lot of husbands and dads at homeschool convention?
Yeah, there's always a lot. I mean, obviously with the homeschool, it's a family-oriented thing, and especially like Sarah said at this one that they have at the Opryland Hotel, it's definitely a Christian background, Christian viewpoint, family-centered. There are all kinds of people, their dads that are there with their families. I really look forward to it every year, going with the family. I take a couple of days of vacation off. Look forward to it, something that we set on our schedule ahead of time. I enjoy going with the family. Sarah can choose whatever kind of homeschooling curriculum that she wants to. She's been doing it for several years, and she knows much better than I what's going to work best for her to be able to teach and with the kids. But I like going there to be able to see the vendors and their booths and get to see, how Sarah, goes about choosing the different ones that she knows are going to work the best for her teaching style and with the kids, and the different things that we see as we're going through the exhibit hall, the things that the kids have, that they see and they take an interest in. So I really enjoy getting to be a part of all that, getting to see what interests them and what maybe we want as parents to try to make sure that we're incorporating into the teaching curriculum so we don't overlook something. There are all kinds of vendors there. I'm gonna say there's at least, probably 200-300 vendors at the different exhibit halls. And they are selling individual study things, for instance, on algebra, or they sell a whole curriculum. You can pick and choose as you want, which is one of the things that's really nice about the homeschooling. So I really enjoy going to it. We get to see a lot of our friends that do homeschooling as well, get to spend time with them as well, not only during all of the talks by the individual speakers, but even afterward, toward the end of the day, we get together with friends and hang out and talk about the things that we've seen and the things we're looking forward to doing. So I really enjoy it. I know that a lot of the dads there, they really enjoy it too. It's kind of an annual thing that everybody really looks forward to doing.
Another thing I thought of when you were talking about the vendors and what they sell. So you might find a vendor and they have a whole bunch of science supplies. So you could sit and look at 8 or 10 different microscopes and pick out a microscope that you want to use in your homeschool. We always find a lot of neat games at the homeschool convention that we can use to supplement our teaching and our activities. There's one called Election Night, which I can put a link to the video that Silas and I did a review of the game Election Night that we got at a homeschool convention. But so I also like being able to look for things like that, not necessarily only just looking for curriculum. Micah really likes gemstones and rocks, and so she found some neat books that she wanted to get at Homeschool Convention, where she can learn more about that and pursue that interest. Cullen mentioned about cooking.
Yeah, they can have a whole lot of stands of what you might want to do for your career when you're a grown-up. They had a neat cookbook and the authors. So they have all kinds of books, and like Mom said about the science. What's another one?
But they do have...
There's some bugs stuff there.
Since this one is held in Nashville, and I said the other one that we've gone to is in Ohio, we will see a lot of somewhat local vendors as well. So maybe local colleges or universities might have a booth there. There's always a local tourism kind of booth there too, so that maybe you might get field trip ideas if you live in Tennessee, of places that you could go on field trips. Trying to think. I know Rob's bought cookbooks before. There are booths where we've learned about different foreign language options that you could do to teach your kids foreign language.
Did we sign up for one of those?
Micah bought a ukulele because there's always different music vendors. There's different art classes that you can find that are online and virtual. There's art supplies that you can buy there. There's really a whole bunch of stuff. There's things just for parenting. There'll be books that you can buy about parenting. We got a chore chart system there one time. So there's just a lot of different things that you can find there. And like Rob had mentioned, what makes Teach Them Diligently Homeschool Convention unique from the other convention that we attend is that this one, all of the speakers and the vendors will have a Christian worldview, which we've found that to be beneficial for our family. I feel especially when it comes to like Silas wanting to read. He likes to read. He's always wanting to find new fiction books to read. And I always try to research what he's going to read before he reads it. So here I feel a little more confident in whatever he's going to pick out to read is going to be appropriate for him to read. And what were some other things I thought of? This convention is a little bit smaller than the one we attend in Ohio, which has, pros and cons to that. I would say if it's your first time visiting a homeschool convention, the Teach Them Diligently convention would be a great one to start at because it is a little bit smaller. It doesn't take as long to have to walk to the different workshops because where the section of the Opryland Hotel where the convention is set up, all of the classrooms are a little bit closer together, so you're not doing as much walking. The exhibit hall where the vendors are is smaller, so again, you're not doing as much walking. You're also not going to be as overwhelmed with the number of choices. Our very first homeschool convention that we went to was the one in Ohio, which is a lot larger, and it was a lot harder for me to go through the list of speakers and workshop titles and try to narrow down as a first-time homeschool mom what I wanted to listen to because I wanted to learn it all in that first year. So it was a little overwhelming. And then we also felt like we were never going to have enough time to make it through the vendor hall that first year because every single booth was brand new to us. We didn't know the names of any companies, the names of any curriculum choices. We didn't know anything. So we felt like we needed to go through each booth one by one and actually spend some time there, which is really hard to do and really overwhelming your first year. So having slightly fewer options at the Teach Them Diligently conference would probably be a good thing if it's your first year of going. And then now that we've gone a couple times, we actually like to alternate between the Ohio Convention and the Nashville Convention. They have different speakers. They have some different vendors that you could only find at one convention, not at the other. So we feel like alternating every other year gives us a chance to kind of get to see and hear everything over time. So, anything else anyone wants to say? We always bring, just one second, we always bring plenty of snacks and water with us. The kids usually bring a bag or a backpack. Rob and I have a bag or a backpack. Rob and I don't always go to the same workshop. There might be 2 workshops at the exact same time, and I really want to hear what's said in both. So I will send Rob to one and have him take notes. Sometimes I might tell him, what I'm specifically hoping to get out of that workshop, so he can kind of listen for that. You can also buy recordings of the workshops. So if you're going by yourself and there's 2 at the same time and you don't know what to do, you can just buy a copy of the recording. Or even if you really enjoyed a workshop and you're like, I have a friend who would want to hear this, or I would need to hear this again.
My kids might want to hear this when they're grown up, for their kids.
That too. So you can pay and get a copy of the recording. So that's helpful too. But since we might split up and not be in the same workshop at the same time, we like to have our own snacks in our own backpack, our own water, so that if we're not together at a certain time, we still have snacks and water available. We did take a stroller with Hadassah. It is a little hard sometimes to navigate through the vendor hall or through some of the workshop rooms. You might have to leave your stroller outside of the room. I know in Ohio, I'm pretty sure all strollers have to be left outside of the room. But in Nashville, I think we could bring the stroller in. But then you're limited to having to sit on an aisle. It's because your stroller would be there in the aisle. All of the kids, it's up to them to bring something that's going to keep them entertained. Silas, I think for the most part, likes to listen to the workshops. I feel like Cullen and Micah was kind of hit or miss whether or not they would be interested in what the speaker was talking about. So they would bring their iPad with headphones so they could play games or watch a movie. Micah and Hadassah liked drawing, so they would bring like a notebook with some pens. We have little magnet sets that Hadassah can do. Basically any quiet activity, books to look at, things that aren't going to make noise and aren't going to leave a mess. Just something that's going to keep your kids entertained all day, because it is a long day. The workshops can start at like 8 in the morning, 8 or 9, and they go till like 7 or 8 usually at night.
Yeah, sometimes they'll have some additional speakers, like they had Tim Tebow there one year in the evening speaking there. So he wasn't part of the convention itself, but he was a guest speaker there later that evening.
And so he was actually the keynote speaker for the convention. And so the convention starts, this one started on Thursday afternoon, I think maybe like at 3 o'clock or so. And so there'll be workshops, and then Tim Tebow was the keynote speaker that night. I think originally he was supposed to be the final speaker on Saturday, but there was a scheduling conflict, I think, on his part, and he had to switch. But anyways, we usually, I don't think we've ever gotten there early enough on Thursday to hear any of the workshops. But then Friday, it starts right up like at 8 or 9, usually goes till 7 or 8 at night. And then Saturday, it's the same thing. It'll start at 8 or 9, and then usually goes till about 5 or 6 on Saturday, because then there's the large keynote speaker right after that. So 2 days is a full 2 days usually for us. We like to be there Thursday night because it's usually out of town for us, and we'll stay in the hotel and be ready to get up bright and early Friday morning, ready to go. And I try to kind of balance in some time in between. I'll try not to do more than 2 workshops in a row and have like 2 workshops and then have some time in the vendor hall, some time to get some lunch, and then go back to another workshop or 2 and then back to the vendor hall. Even just for me mentally, the workshops are about 45 minutes with like 45 minutes to an hour, and then usually like 10 to 20 minutes in between workshops so you can get to the next workshop. But I don't even want to sit there necessarily for 3 workshops in a row. Just 1 workshop or 2 and taking a break to do the vendor hall. And I also like breaking up the vendor hall too. I don't know that I'd necessarily want to spend 3 or 4 hours straight in the vendor hall. It's concrete floor. It's a lot of walking, and it's hard on your feet.
Yeah,
So.
if you break up your schedule throughout the day, you'll enjoy it a lot more.
All right, Silas, did you have something else?
Yeah, back to what Mom was saying about having discounts sometimes. When I buy books, every once in a while, they like say that if you buy this whole series, they'll give you this extra book. That's not a series, just a book that ends right there. So it's the whole story in that one book. So they sometimes give you that, or they'll give you 1 book in a series of like 4 or 5, and then that's so that you can read the first book, and then if you like it, you can come back and get the other books. And if you don't, you just have another book.
Yep. All right. Well,
It's just a really nice place to go and help your kids learn a lot.
yep. Well, if you have any questions about homeschool conventions or about the Teach Them Diligently convention more specifically, leave those in the comments section below and we will try and answer them for you.